right, well, greetings, everybody. Welcome once again to the Rec Poker Podcast, sponsored as always by Running Aces Casino, Racetrack, and Hotel and website AMP. And in this chats edition of the podcast, we are going to talk with the one and only Jamie Kerstetter. She's a professional poker player. She's a poker commentator. She's a podcaster. She does a ton of different stuff, and we're going to dig into that and talk to her about all of that kind of stuff. But first, we're going to introduce the panel. My name is Steve Fredland. I go by Rec Poker Steve in the Poker Stars home game. And I have what I think is a very appropriate quote from Dennis Miller for tonight. He said, "There is nothing funny about dogs playing poker. There is nothing remotely cute about animals with gambling problems. If you look closely at those paintings, you can tell that most of the dogs are playing with money that they can't afford to lose. And sadder still, it takes 7 of their dollars to make one of ours."
I don't know how to follow that one up, but I'm Chris Jones. I'm 5x5 on Poker Stars and Twitter, and I brought a quote, an oldie but a goodie from Isaac Asimov saying, "The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom."
Ooh,
Jones.
Chris, bring in the heat. Bring in the heat. Well, I'm Jim Reed, Bluffsterini in the home game, and you can find out about me and the rest of the wrecking crew here by going to rec.poker/crew. And all I know about poker is that sometimes it's about making the wrong play at the right time.
And I am John Somsky, known as Poker Geek MN everywhere. And I have a quote from the late, great Stu Unger: "Fold and live to fold again."
And I'm Rob Washam. I'm Radman50 everywhere. And I thought that was something that Tommy Angelo said, but that's something that Tommy Angelo does for sure, is fold so that he can fold again.
Nice. Well, thanks, guys. So we're going to have the conversation with Jamie, and then just to tease it out, a few things we're going to touch on at the end of the show. We're going to talk about the road trip that we took down to Seminole Coconut Creek Casino. Jamie was there. We didn't even get a chance to meet down there, but we were both down there hanging out. A bunch of us Rec Poker peeps were down there, so we'll talk about that. We've got a partnership with the World Poker Tour that's coming up. We got something to announce on that deal. We'll share the winners of the Rec Poker weekly live tournaments, the winners of the online home games, and a bunch of other stuff. And you premium members who are in the chat, if you don't know, if you're a premium member, you can actually join us live in the podcast. You guys just have your stuff set to all attendees and panelists for your chats, and then we can all see whatever it is that you're commenting on. So with that, let's bring her in. Jamie Kerstetter, hello, and welcome to Rec Poker.
Hello, thanks for having me. That first quote sounded like something Norman Chad would have said about the dogs playing poker. I could see him having a 5-minute rant about that.
Is that kind of his thing? Does he like to rant on that?
He'll pick one thing that seems a little off and just talk about it for, like, I don't know, as long as people will listen to him.
I'm not surprised that him and Dennis Miller kind of have the same observation skills of human society and willing to kind of pick that apart and then make some fun of it. But hey, so we're over 300 episodes and we have not had you on before, so we're super excited to finally land the big fish and have you on the Rec Poker Podcast.
Yeah, you just had to ask me 301 times and I finally said yes. You broke me down.
Right. There's just 301 steps to getting you into the Poker Podcast. So,
Yeah.
So where are you at?
That's the same way I ended up married.
Did she ask you 301 times or did you ask her 301 times?
Oh, no, I would have said yes the first time. It was me doing the asking.
I've met your wife and I can see why. She's glorious. I love her. Well, so Jamie, are you still down in Florida or where are you calling in from?
No, I'm at my mom's house in New Jersey. My grandma's really sick, so I came to visit her. And then it turns out someone in her nursing home has COVID, so they won't let me in anyway.
Oh, Jamie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It really sucks. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
I know a lot of people in that situation. That's, obviously the COVID, the sickness, the illness, that's all just so horrible. But then when you layer on this, I can't see my loved ones, it's just agonizing.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you originally?
Brutal. That's why it makes it a little, I was going to say, it makes it a little ridiculous when I'm reading the poker player takes on Twitter where they're like, I can't play a tournament. Oh, it's tyranny. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know who
is
you
more
might be
important
talking
right
about.
now.
I'm not sure who you're talking about at all, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, everybody's got their different perspectives, but like you said, I mean, you're kind of putting that in perspective. All right, we're talking about poker and, you take both sides and everybody's upset one way or the other, whatever, but real life, you're talking about real life. You're talking about not being able to see your grandma. and that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Are you originally from New Jersey? Is that your home state?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the best part about that is everywhere else I go, I'm just like, wow, the people are so nice.
Did you say everywhere else you go?
Yeah.
So they set the bar really, really well for you there. So you could go
Yeah.
into life thinking. That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your journey now. Where do you live now? Kind of how did you get away from New Jersey and all that? Like what's a little bit of your story? I know you've been interviewed, you've interviewed a lot of people, so we kind of know some of your story, but just, a lot of folks at the Rec Poker, we have an opportunity to introduce them to people in the poker industry that maybe they haven't heard of because they're not as plugged in as others. And so let's hear a little bit about your story and how'd you get to where you are today?
Sure, I can give you the Cliffs Notes. I went to Rutgers for college. I played a little bit of poker while I was there, but I played soccer and I ran track, so I didn't have a ton of time. It wasn't until I went to law school that I got super addicted to poker. I played in a home game with a bunch of law students once a week that got really, really competitive, and like it's all we would talk about. It's like who won in the game that week or whatever. So I started to take it more seriously, and I would go to casinos on weekends and really got the bug. And then it wasn't until I was a lawyer when I realized, man, being a lawyer sucks, that I really started playing poker. So I started playing online a lot, got pretty good. I was like ranked pretty decently. And then I got laid off my first job. They laid off all the first and second year attorneys. And I was like, all right, I'll just play poker for a little while. And I have been like basically between jobs for 15 years or so. I quit. I briefly went back and then I quit that job after about 9 months. I just really loved poker and I wanted to play. So I spent 1.5 years in Rosarito, Mexico, when online poker got shut down in the US. And that's when I played the most and I grinded and studied the most. And I think that's where I realized like I wanted to do it full time forever. And just recently, maybe the last 3 or 4 years, I started to do other things as well. That's giving me more life balance, which includes podcasting and commentary. I did some ghostwriting. I used to write for Doug Polk's YouTube channels. I got to write a lot of jokes, things like that. But yeah, I live in Vegas now, but I'm kind of all over the place. And I recently took a job with Poker King, who's partnered with WPT, and I'm creative producer for them. So I get to do a lot of writing and a lot of building lineups for big cash games, working on a game show, working on a documentary. There's a ton of stuff we're doing for them. It's all like creative stuff. So I'm very happy to be a part-time poker player now.
I love that because when I think of you, I think of creativity. I think of fun. I think of creativity. I think of humor. And so, knowing that your backstory included being a lawyer. Now, no offense to lawyers out there. I'm a recovering actuary, so I understand what it's like to not be funny. But I always think of you as creative. So I always think that's an interesting dynamic that you got this legal background. But did you know? So you got into playing poker. You were good at it. You had some success. You enjoy it. But then you went down this road of doing other creative sort of things. Do you feel like that creative element was just always in you waiting to be released, or did a trigger switch or something and all of a sudden you got in? Was it just an opportunity that emerged, or how did you make that transition, or how did the opportunities come to you?
It wasn't really intentional. A lot of it had to do with Twitter, and I just used to go on Twitter and mess around. Like I would just write things I thought sounded funny, or I'd like reply to people like, oh, this is a good joke. I'll like throw a little jab in this direction or whatever. And it actually was from that. Like I just was on there a few years just messing around, and somebody actually, it was a troll for Doug Polk who needled him and said, your jokes suck. You need a writer. You should hire Jamie Kerstetter. And it was someone I didn't know. And I was like, oh, I read it and I was like, oh God, I'm gonna be like the subject of Doug's next video, because I thought he was gonna like be a jerk. And instead he DMs me and he's like, oh, what do you think? Do you want to write? And I was like, yeah. And so I started writing for him, got way into the YouTube streets, and had a lot of fun doing it. Not always, like I don't really like picking on people or like knocking people down. It was always fun when we were punching up instead. And I started writing for other people too. And pretty much that's when I realized that like, that's what actually makes me happy. It was like the creative side of the brain lighting up a little bit, and that I'm just not like, as much as I love poker, I'm not the person to buckle down and study Sims for 5 hours a day. Yeah. And there are a lot of people who do that now. And I feel like I'm so competitive that like wanting to be the best, but knowing that it's not in me to do it in this one thing. I was like, if I didn't find other things, in poker, I'd probably have moved on to something else by now. So it's like trying to be really good at something in poker outside of actually the game itself. Like I really enjoy commentary, I really enjoy podcasting, writing, all this stuff. It's like it kind of has kept me in poker longer, I think, because I don't think I could do the poker robot study thing that so many other people are so good at.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. I know my video for some reason I'm having all kinds of trouble. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's not intentional. But if my video camera was on, you would see me like nodding this entire time because I just love what you're saying. I'm tracking with you so well. I'm really an active listener, and all you see is my stoic face there. But I'm curious, like, you've stayed in the poker path. Like clearly, you have the talent, you have the ambition, maybe you have all of these things that you could do something outside of poker. There's opportunities that abound outside of poker, yet you've kind of stuck with the poker track. So I'm kind of curious, is that just love for the game? Is it just you're known there and there's opportunities, or what's kind of keeping you there? And don't trust me, I'm not trying to get you to leave the poker industry. We need you there, but I'm just kind of curious.
I was just going to ask, I was like, did my mom put you up to this? Is that what's happening now? You're like, did she ask her to do something else?
It's not too late to still become a lawyer, Jamie.
It really, some of this stuff happened by chance, because there have been a couple opportunities that were so good that I pursued them. They just didn't work out. There was actually something I was writing for someone and they almost got a TV show and I would have been a writer and I would have had a sick job with that. It just didn't work out. Pitching in Hollywood, different shows is just a nightmare. Apparently I got to see a little bit of it. But it's okay because I'm like, I was like, I still love poker. I love the community. All my friends are here. I wasn't really trying to leave permanently. I still would have played poker at least part-time. So when it didn't work out, I was like, it's okay. Like I'll just go back to the drawing board. And then this new job with Poker King and partner with WPT, it's like there's so much opportunity that I'm actually kind of happy the other job didn't work out at this point. So I guess I just like go with the flow a lot. I'm like, I see a really good opportunity, I'll go after it. If it doesn't work out, I still really do enjoy poker. It's not like when I was a tax attorney and I was like, every day I thought about quitting. It doesn't feel like that. Like there's just some days I'm more inspired to play than other days. So it's like, if I was full-time poker, like there are definitely times that I was like dragging myself to the casino to go grind cash. I'm like, oh no, this has now become a real job.
You're not a real job. No, not a real job.
Seriously.
Well, so I kind of glossed over it when you first mentioned it, but I'm super excited about your new role with Poker King. But what should rec players, what should we know about Poker King? Like what should we be aware of? What should we be watching for? What should we be, connecting to so we stay informed of what's going on? Like what should we expect and why should we be excited about this?
All right, we have some stuff. I'm trying to think of the things I'm allowed to reveal and things I'm not allowed to reveal. So I'll just get in trouble.
You can reveal anything.
Yeah, just blurt it out. Just say it, Jamie.
There's nobody listening, not even recording. Like you can just share whatever you want. Like this, nobody will hear this.
So something I can tease something we're working on. We're doing a documentary on someone that everyone would like to hear about. So that'll probably come out in a year or so. It's been really, really cool to listen to. We have just gotten done with a cash game that we partner with WPT. We had a ladies 25-50 game with two chess influencers, Nemo and Alexandra Botez, who were kind of forming relationships with different influencers in different markets, trying to get new eyes on poker. So they're giving us the budget for that. I think it's so much fun. It's just so much fun watching new people enjoy poker. And I feel like it like invigorates the game a lot when it's just not a bunch of like has-beens sitting around, you get new people who are like, oh my God, they win a pot and they're like sweating. Yeah, it's great. We have more of that. So we've had 2 days of 200, 400 only. Also, a lot of those guys want to come back. I heard from a bunch of people who watched that they wanted to play some of it. So we're going to just keep running games like that. But we also have one super high stakes one that we're planning in the far future. That's pretty much all I can say about it, but it's going to be huge and we're putting a lot of money into it and a lot of time into it. And it should just be really, really good. So that's all we have on the horizon. I have a game show idea that I think they're going to let me make. That would be like in the far future, but that's what I'm super excited about. But yeah, I think that's all I'm allowed to say.
Oh, I think you could say much, much more than that. I just have one question. We'll see if the panelist has any questions too. But so my one question would be if we guess the name of the person that you're doing the documentary on, will you tell us if we're right? Because I think it's Rob. No,
don't do this to me.
I think it's Rob Washam. Is it Rob Washam? Will you tell me if
no.
It's It's Mike Postle. Mike Postle. Everyone wants more of that guy.
Oh, nobody will have any interest in that. I'm sure that would be a great, fun project to work on, right? Jim, did you have something?
Yeah, I had one question. So a lot of people are talking about sort of a bit of a controversial subject right now. I know where I stand on it, but I wonder if you could weigh in, Jamie. Why are dogs better than cats?
That's not controversial.
Oh my God. This is so messed up. My cat is over here just watching me. I like them all, so I can't. I'm really middle of the road. I would be like, whatever. I'm like a centrist on this topic. I'll take any of them. Why do we have to choose? That's the real question.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I am personally allergic to cats, so it's nothing personal. Nothing personal, but dogs rule and cats rule, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah. Jim's got a real scarcity mentality. It's one or the other. It can't be both.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, kind of along that line, so sorry if I'm jumping on your toes, Jim, but I'm kind of curious. Yeah, tell the world a little bit about your involvement with dogs, and those who know you know that you're doing a lot of things for animals and that sort of thing. But for people that maybe aren't familiar with that work that you're doing, let people know what you're doing and how they can connect with that.
Sure. Pretty much anytime that I donate any money, it's to Sergeant Pepper's Friends. They're a rescue in Aruba where they pair animals with vacationers. So the vacationers will take a rescue dog home to wherever location someone's looking for a dog. So like if you say, hey, I'm going to Aruba, I'm from Vegas, I'll be returning to Vegas. If someone in Vegas wants one of these Aruba dogs, they can just like put in their order online and you ship it back to them. So it's like super creative. It's a way to take puppies and stuff from a place that's super overpopulated where they just euthanize them. And now they're delivering them to us. So that's kind of cool. But I've raised a bunch of money for ASPCA. I ran the New York Marathon, and poker players donated way too much money to it. Like I was thinking people would give like $20. I had several people give 500, 1,000, whatever. It came out to like $6,500 or something. So that was cool. But yeah, I just broke up out of a 7-year relationship and I let him keep the dogs. So I need new dogs. I can't, I was like, I can't, I'm either going to kidnap them and get arrested, or I'm going to have to adopt some more dogs. So if anyone has a spare pit bull lying around, just let me know.
You've seen this crew, and we have some premium members in the chat. I know, Kim Pet Kilroy, maybe she knows some people that could maybe arrange to get these animals kidnapped back, and we can edit this part out if that becomes something you'd like us to take the lead on. Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for your work on that. I think that's one of the things that's, people don't realize, at least for me, I was late to the game. I didn't start playing poker until my 40s. And made my mom really nervous, because it's a bunch of degenerates and that sort of thing. But people don't realize how generous the poker community is. I know I've led I think 8 charity tournaments that we've hosted, and people are just so generous. And we helped we worked with Lynn Gilmartin on sort of raising money for the Australian wildfires. People stepped up and donated there. I know with KL Cleaton in the van, we had some donations coming in, including Jim doing some coaching. And so, I think that's a story that needs to be told more about the generosity of the poker community.
Yes, it's one of those times where it's like really good that we've completely lost the idea of how much money is worth. Because everything else, like I have a funny story where I was talking to one of my friends who asked, was like, man, NFL Red Zone is so awesome. Like, how much does it cost? Because he wasn't looking at the bill. I was like, I don't know, like 5 or something. He's like, 500 a month. That's pretty good. I was like, what? But seriously, like the higher stakes people play, they don't know how much stuff costs. And if you don't know how much stuff costs, then you're wasting money all over the place. You may as well donate it to some dogs once in a while. Yeah. And they do. Like the charity events are always amazing. I think poker players in general are pretty charitable. I think maybe because we feel this like pressure to do good, because in your own job, it's a zero-sum game. You take money from people and it doesn't feel great. So I feel like when they have an opportunity to give back, they generally take it.
I had this really high view of poker players saying, hey, they're more generous than we realize. And you just kind of crushed it by saying, well, yeah, nobody just knows what the value of money is. So maybe they're not as generous as we think. They're just making more poor financial decisions. Jim, did you have something?
I'm using that line though from now on. It's like, you've got so many life leaks. Like one of them might as well be a charitable endeavor. Like you're spewing money all over the place. At least, have some of it just accidentally fall into the right place. That's my new ask, Jamie.
Perfect.
I like that. Yeah.
So I'm curious. Chris, go ahead.
Well, Jimmy, I wanted to kind of shift gears a little and talk to you about, you've had a past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Well, first of all, when did you first get started doing poker commentary? And maybe answer that, and then I've got a follow up to that.
Okay. I actually, it's kind of crazy that I did it at all, because I had like a fear of public speaking, just like more so than an average person, I would think. And I was sponsored by Party New Jersey when they first opened up, and they sent me on a trip to Venice. And it was the kind of thing where it was like an additional thing that was not part of my sponsorship. It was just like, hey, we could use you there to work on this little show and to do a little commentary. I'm not going to say no to that. But then when I got there, I was like, oh no, like just this this horrible anxiety over it. And it was whole cards down. And it was with a partner, Jesse May, who turned out to be awesome, but I didn't know him at the time. I'm like, oh, this is going to be terrible. And it was like elite pros, like Sam Trickett, and just really good players where I'm like, how am I going to comment on what they're doing? Like, this is such a joke. It's going to be so bad. But it was so strange after it was over, which it was nerve-wracking the whole time. I had like sweaty palms. I just felt so good. I was like, wow, that was like something I'm so afraid of. And I was like, I don't think it was even particularly good, but I got through it and I was like really proud of myself. I'm like, okay. And then so the next time I got asked, it was like a Borgata smaller thing, like a $500 or something. And I was like, sure. And then everything subsequently felt easier because it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't as scary. It wasn't as high stakes. It was with people I knew. I had backstory on them. I usually commentate with a friend. And it just felt like way more comfortable, and I enjoyed it more every single time. And then it got to the point where they'd be like, oh, WPT would be like, hey, I need a commentator. I'm like, I'll do it. And so I went from being terrified of it to like a year later, just enjoying it. And people also like weren't that hard on me, because I feel like I didn't present myself as like, I'm such an expert. Oh, I'll tell you guys how it should be played. I was like, there's funny stuff. We can point out some fun things. And also just like, I really love the game. So it's like, it comes through when you're like, wow, this guy made a sick play. Like, I wonder what he's thinking. And that was probably, I'd say like 5 years ago. It's probably about 5 years ago when I started.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I think you're a fantastic commentator. So thank you for doing what you do. And one of the things that I really admire about you doing commentary is, I think you're able to balance your audience between people who maybe just stumble onto it on ESPN or now CBS, and are like a casual, like they may know that, they may not even know that a straight beats a flush, but maybe they know that, but that's like the level of poker that they understand, versus like people who are really into like, combos and solver work and all that. They're all the audience, but I think you're really able to balance those two audiences really effectively. And I'm wondering if you can talk about how do you think about when you're broadcasting to that big of an audience, the people who really know a lot about poker and the people who you want to be involved in the conversation and bring them in, but you don't want them to feel sort of like pushed away as if you don't really belong here.
Well, one of my friends made the same point. He was like, it's really cool how you can kind of like dumb it down a little bit for I'm like, I'm not dumbing it down. I was like, this is how I see poker. I'm like, yes, I'm not talking about I'm not going to go into ranges. I'm not going to make it really dry and boring, but also I'm just not that good. Like if you get an elite player, maybe they try to make it better for laymen and they can't, because they don't realize they're on level 20. And they need to be speaking on like level 3. I'm just not that good. I play 5-10, I play 2-5. I play 1K average buy-ins. So when I'm talking to people about the game, I'm like, and maybe only a little better than like the average person watching on ESPN. They're watching because they're entertaining, like they think poker's entertaining. So like spoon feeding a little bit of poker to them and then making jokes and hanging out with Norm and Lon, like that's what I'm there for. Like they could have 2,000 other people if they want a better poker player. So I kind of think that's what makes it not that hard for me. Like that sounds ridiculous, but it's pretty honest that I just don't, there's not like, man, I ran a sim on this exact hand yesterday, and let me tell you that 22% of the time you're supposed to bet on it. No, there's none of that going through my head. It's just like, oh, this flop's better for the pre-flop raiser. Here's why, and so it's not that hard to dumb it down when I'm like just a little ahead of the average viewer, in my opinion.
I get the same thing on the podcast too, because we do two different versions of the podcast. We do the chats edition, which is the one that I host, and then Jim hosts the one that's really like strategy forums based. thing. So I get that a lot too. How do you dumb it down? Well, because I'm just dumb. Like it's not that complicated. But thanks, I appreciate that. Thanks for your kind words. That's why I like just to talk to people. See, once it gets really hard, then I turn it over to Jim and these geniuses on this panel.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious how you got plugged in with Run Good. So we just started working with them. We've done a couple of road trips. We did Iowa, we did Florida. Really a fan of what they're doing, what Tana and the whole crew are doing there. But what's your connection there, and how did that come to be?
Sure. First of all, I want to say you guys are like a perfect fit too. I'm like that. This is the type of players that we want. Like, and we want, it's fun. Like you go there, there's no way I'm flying to Florida and paying for a flight and all the stuff that comes along with traveling for a $600 tournament. I would never do that for money. Like, I'm not like, oh, this makes financial sense for me to do that. It's all for fun. I love these people. Like they're the most fun. My liver is like currently regenerating. I could feel it. Like this.
I saw some of the Instagram photos and I thought, ooh, there's a lot of glasses and things there.
Yeah, they are the best peer pressures in the entire world. They're so much fun. They're some of my closest friends. And Tana just hit me up randomly. I should really ask him like why, because this was so many years ago now. It had been like 7 or 8 years ago. I'm playing an event at Foxwoods and I get a DM on Twitter that just said, hey, I started this company. We want to talk to you and think you'd be a good fit, whatever. And I saw Tana and I'm like, oh, this lady started a company. That's nice. So when I call on the phone and it's a dude, I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know him.
Is your wife there?
Oh yeah. Right. I was like, I don't know if I'm talking to the right person. But he sold me from the beginning, like it basically in the same way where he's just like, oh, we're a clothing company that's starting a series and we're basically trying to just make it a fun environment and we want more rec people and we want just that was it. It was just it's gonna be fun. And I was like, all right, I like fun. I was like, tell me more. And a couple of the stops I went to were really in the middle of nowhere. Like we're in like Council Bluffs, Iowa. And as I'm like pulling in past all the cows, I'm like, I may have made a wrong decision here. But when I get there and like, it's just the people couldn't be more fun. Like, I don't know how he handpicked these people, but he did an amazing job. Because no matter who shows up from the team, it's just like everyone, and it's like, you'll be sitting at a table and they'll be sending drinks to people. So it's like, not just our own little team. They're making sure every
Oh, we lost Jamie. Jamie cut out. Is that one my fault? Everybody else, you guys can. Oh, there she's back. Hey, Jamie.
Oh no, here we are. I think we're
back. Well, what we did here is, so Jamie, it's a little bit of know your audience. So we're in Minnesota. Several of us went down to Council Bluffs, Iowa, and we consider farm country beautiful country. And so as soon as you started saying maybe it was a mistake, we put on a 7-second delay on you.
I was like, oh my God, at least we're not in Minnesota. That would really suck.
We're going to do our series in the middle of January. We're going to have Run Good come to Minnesota in January, and they're going to require you to be an ambassador at that thing. Mr. Somsky.
They just added, so the stuff they just added were Coconut Creek, Florida, and San Diego, Humboldt Casino in San Diego. They're now starting to like get into like places where I can tell friends to go. The rest of them, I was like, listen, these are people who like go to France for tournaments and stuff. And I'm like, are you sure you don't want to go to Council Bluffs, Iowa? Like, this is a really good event. It's hard to sell it, but when it's like San Diego and Coconut Creek, Florida, it's a little bit easier now.
Well, it's part of your sales package. Next time, just make sure you tell them, well, Rec Poker is going to be there at Council Bluffs, Iowa. Yes. And then they'll be like, wow, then we're going to go for sure. But no, some of the locations they got set up are pretty sweet, pretty juicy. Mr. Somsky, what do you have?
Well, I was just going to say, I've been following your career for a long time, particularly your Twitter. Your Twitter is awesome. It is one of the funniest poker Twitters out there. And back since the Grindettes days. And it's just been really fun. I remember one of the times I was following or appreciated you the most was when you were sweating Minnesota Molly. She was playing at one of the WSOP events, and you had the best tweets about keeping us up to date on how she was doing. So that was fun.
Oh no, that was great. I'm a very good railbird. I have a housemate now, Lisa Pickell, and ever since I moved in with her, we study a lot together. We'll get up in the morning and study. But she has chopped the tournament for 27K and then won like 5K the next day. And I'm just I'm just at her rail. I sound like I drink a lot on this pod. I do not, but lately, like someone saved me, intervention time. No, I'm just sitting, I'm on her rail with a drink till like 2 a.m. I've been doing a lot more railing final tables than making final tables lately, but yeah, I'm happy to live tweet it whenever it comes up.
Isn't that so fun? I do love railing too. I mean, one of the things that I find though is I feel like I'm under more pressure as a rail person than the person playing. Like they seem just cool, calm, and collected. I'm like, oh my God, what do they have here? What do they have here? You know, I'm sweating. Like, well, so what is it about railing somebody that you just love so much? Is it just supporting a friend, or is there another dynamic at play there?
I think it's just like that I don't have to make any decisions, and that's kind of cool. Also, it's just nice. Like you see how hard people work. It's really nice when they start to get rewarded. And you know, in poker that could take years. You could see someone work hard for multiple years without any real sweats. So then when they're making a final table, it's just so much fun. I love being there. And I've had like the times I've had good runs, like I have my friends all there, and they're happy to take a tournament off and watch me. So, you know, it's nice to return the favor.
That's so cool. So in the chat, Kim Kilroy asked about Montreal, Canada. Have you been up there? Have you played up there? Do you have any plans to get up there? Can you influence Run Good or whoever to get up there?
We're gonna make Run Good international now. I'll let Tana know if like we decided that this is now an international tour. I've been to Montreal only for fun. It was great. I haven't actually been there. Everyone says Playground Poker Club is like the best. I haven't been there yet. Now that I'm in Vegas, it's like harder to justify making that long of a journey. I really should have gone when I was East Coast, but.
Yeah, I've played at Playground. It is a fantastic spot. I'm actually making a trip out there in September just to kind of shake off some of the rust and get ready for when WSOP time comes around. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, if you didn't pick up on that, Jim's going to make the trip out there. He's a Canadian.
Right out.
Yeah.
I'll be right over there. Oh yeah.
He puts all these weird U's in all these different words. It's very weird. It's something's really
everywhere. So many U's. They're all over the place.
So I want to chat a little bit about, if you don't mind, I'm kind of curious your take on this, just because I like how you think about different things, and we're getting different perspectives on this. But the WSOP requiring vaccination, you know, it's sort of the hot topic there. Just kind of curious, where do you come down on that, or what sort of insight can you give us from your perspective?
Okay, well, unlike every other poker player on Twitter, I'm not a doctor. So
wait, what?
I only have my opinion.
I thought a lawyer doctor saying what? Okay, so you don't have.
I'm a juris doctor. I feel like.
So you don't have the.
Yeah, not everyone on Twitter was a doctor. Isn't everyone on Twitter a doctor today?
I do like that caveat, though. I do like the caveat.
So my opinion's kind of worthless. Like I read, I stay informed. I am really tired of reading conspiracy theories and everything. The ones that make it, there needs to be, 1,000 people in on a big secret, which like people know no one keeps secrets. So like I don't know. I'm getting tired of reading people I really, really like are going off the deep end, and I'm hoping that they don't go too far off the deep end to come back. Something I really don't like about poker Twitter is once someone is like on the outs, everyone just piles on. So someone will give an unpopular opinion, and then 100 people have to tell this person that they're an idiot and they're crazy and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's like, it gets a little bit excessive, which is why I like kind of stay out of it. I am very happy they are making people be vaccinated or show vaccination. I think in a perfect world, they would let people show that they have antigens or whatever, that they've had COVID. That would be nice, because if it's as effective as a vaccination, then why are we making people who've had COVID also get vaccinated? That doesn't seem fair. I just know they're a company, they're a business, they're a private company. They don't have to do any of this. They could just say free for all, who cares? They make their own rules. And, it sucks for the people who don't want to get vaxxed that this is one of the rules, but it would really suck for the dealers who need the money and need the work to have to expose themselves to a bunch of people who are sometimes careless, sometimes not that clean. Hearing guys say that guys don't wash their hands in the bathroom, like, ugh, like it's just going to be spreading COVID everywhere. So I like this rule. I'm sorry for people who don't like this rule. I have a lot of friends who don't like this rule. And I do feel bad for them. Like, I don't know if this is best. Nobody, just listen to doctors, and it's WSOP trying to make the best out of the situation. If they had endless time and manpower, I'm sure that they would test people to see if they've had COVID, and then they'd let them in too. But I'm like, I don't have faith in WSOP to be able to do that since like the Reg Lions have already been kind of nightmarish, and they had Phil Ivey playing in a bowling alley once.
Well, I love, I mean, just the way that you even said that. I mean, you obviously you took a stand, but you say it in a way that's respectful. It's not divisive unless people are looking for it to be divisive. And I think that's the hardest part over the last couple of years is just how much divisiveness, not just in the poker community, but obviously globally and in all of our society, just how much divisiveness this has caused, for that. And it's so hard because if people, if you just dig into one side or the other, you end up hating other people versus just sort of debating the issue. And pretty soon, is that something that we can recover from? And I think it takes an intentional effort to try to rebuild that. And it's just such an unfortunate thing when something this controversial comes up. John,
I think you just have to find things you like about people. Like I disagree with a lot of the stuff. Like Christy's a good example. I disagree with a lot of stuff she says, but I like her. Like I was like, we could go have a drink. We could go like for a run. We could go play poker together. And she actually played in the Poker King WPT game, and we had to have a compromise. A lot of the players didn't want to wear masks. To be honest, didn't really want to make a show where players were wearing masks. It sucks. I'd rather just not have a show and wait for it to be over. So we ended up COVID testing everyone in the morning. They took 2 tests of these home tests that were 85% each effective, and players were happy with that. Chrissy wanted to use a different cotton swab. I'm like, completely fine. It doesn't mess with the results at all. Like there's so much information out there. Like I can see people going down a rabbit hole of being afraid of a thing. YouTube recommends another thing to be afraid of. You've now watched 100 YouTube videos where you're now confirmed the thing you're afraid of is definitely happening. I think that's happening to a lot of people on both sides. I just don't think you have to hate someone for like, even if you think their views are ridiculous on one topic, it doesn't mean they're like a shit person in general. And I think that's how we come back from that. Just like still interact with the people that don't agree with you and try to respect them. And I fall short sometimes. Sometimes all I want to do is make fun of them. Like sometimes I think of great jokes. So I'm just like, I'm going to get this person. But just trying your best at least to not fall down that trap of like only talking to people who agree with you and saying screw the rest.
Yeah, I think the ability to hold two things at the same time. We can hold I like this person and I disagree with them. It's okay to hold both of those things at the same time. But I do think there's a lot of people that it's sort of one or the other, right? You're either I can't like you if you believe this. And so I think that's wisdom from Jamie, just if you want to have a life where you feel united, where you don't, live this life of bitterness and hatred and division. Some people, I think that fuels their life. Like that's just, they're always going to be that way. But I think a lot of us wake up one day and like, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to live where I'm hating my neighbor, where I'm disliking my family member. Well, you don't have to. You can still like them and disagree with them. It is okay, right? I mean, Jamie's giving you permission to actually like somebody and disagree with them. So if nothing else, listen to Jamie. John, did you have something you wanted to add there?
Not great advice.
Well, I just wanted to say, not all men skip washing their hands. I religiously wash my hand every time I go. And I want to make a call to all people out there, actually, regardless. If you miss a hand, it's okay. You will survive. You can wash your hands and take your time, get back to the table. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah,
John,
just don't miss a hand between those two hands.
Watching.
Yeah, no, that's not the hand to
Oh,
miss.
yeah. Oh, if you miss a hand. I thought John was saying just wash one hand. And I was like trying to figure out how that's done. So if you miss a hand, you're talking a hand of poker. Well, Jamie, I mean, okay, time flies by. Every time we do these guests, time flies by, and I want to respect your time. But like, what else do we need to know? So, Rec Poker Nation is out here. A lot of us are familiar with your work. A lot of folks are being introduced to you for the first time. And what do you want them to know, either about you or the poker industry, or what you're involved with, how to connect with you? Kind of, what else would you tell Rec Poker Nation?
Wow. That's really, I wish I had like 20 things. I'm like, I can't decide which to choose from, but now I feel really boring because I'm like, oh no.
I don't know. That's enough. They know everything. Yeah, no.
Well, she's a host of the Rake.
Okay, so what is your, what's that? Let's just go through, the Twitter handle, and then Poker King. How is there some, is there a Twitter feed? Is there an Instagram? Like, how do people connect with Poker King? How do they connect?
Yeah, if you follow Poker King Media on Twitter, we're basically like revamping their whole YouTube. There's gonna be a lot of stuff coming out for Poker King and for WPT on YouTube. We made that 25K heads up event that Phil Ivey won in Cabo, and there'll be like 20 episodes coming out from there. We got Lon McCarran on voiceover, which made me very happy. I really really enjoy him and Norman Chad and like to get them involved whenever possible. So that should be really cool. That's coming out soon. We'll have episodes of the cash games we just ran on YouTube as well. There's the full thing right now uncut. It was very enjoyable. I'll say, listen to the 200-400 game. The table talk was the most off the rails table talk I've ever heard. I was like, don't you guys have mothers? Like, it doesn't sound like they do. They were not worried about what they're saying. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. That was the WPT 200-400 that we just ran. I am host of the Rake for Run It Once.
Yes.
With Ben Wilanowski. We are very lazy. We were doing one a week and now we're doing like one a month maybe. So you know, who knows where we're going with that. I enjoy it once in a while, but not quite as prolific at the podcasting as you guys are.
Yeah, well, you know, this is the only way we have our friends is we have to podcast together. You know, that's the only way we can have fun. So it works. But it takes time, right? People don't realize.
I just lived.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I just lived an entire year on Zoom where literally my only friends were like people on Zoom. We were playing if you guys ever played Mafia, it's like Werewolf, the role-playing game with bluffing. We played, it used to be once a week. We would have a once a week game and it became so much fun and we played 5 days a week. Then we'd have pop-up games where it'd be like, hey guys, we have a game at 5 p.m. Does anyone around at 1 p.m? Because we're gonna play that. I stopped playing online poker because I was playing online Mafia. But it's great. I was like, I actually feel there. Sammy G is someone, I love her. She's the real Sammy G on Twitter. She was at the Run Good event.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I hadn't met her in real life. I had no idea. I had spent so much time with her talking on Discord and on different things that she's like, hey, it's fun. It's nice to finally meet you. And I'm like, good joke. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, I really have never met you. So that's kind of interesting that we have that from the last year. Like you actually make real connections, real friendships that count just as much as in real life ones.
Yeah, and I just found out down there that as I was chatting with her that she was going to be an actuary, which is what I was. So I thought, oh, we got something in common. Then she's like, then I looked at it and I'm like, no. Okay. So she was not as excited about being an actuary as I was. But no, she's fantastic.
Oh man, I've saved so many people from law school. Anyone who asks me, like, should I go to law school? I'm like, why would you do that? Are you really boring? Sorry to any lawyers who are listening.
Okay, so what are you doing? Well, I've been asked a fair amount too because I'm a recovering actuary. I'm no longer an actuary, and it's one of those things people do ask me to, hey, can you come talk to our students? I'm like, you know, here's what I'm probably going to say. So I don't know if you actually want me to come. It is great for some people, but it's not for everybody, you know. And so if you're willing to let me share that message, yeah, I'll come talk. And they're kind of like, well, maybe we'll find somebody else to chat with these guys about it. So
I've had to tone it down before. I've done some like corporate events, like networking events where I teach them a little bit of poker, and sometimes it'll be they'll be lawyers and they'll be like, oh, why'd you get out of law? And then I have to be like, I have to really tone this down and be like, just wasn't for me, you know. And I'm like, it's a great profession, I just didn't like it that much. And I was like, yeah, it's super hard because I'm like, I'm very, very honest, but like I'm blunt, so it's like hard for me to be like, okay, let's not shame an entire profession.
You just want to look at them and say, really? You have to ask me this? Why would you have to, if you have to ask, then nothing I can say is going to land here. Well, so have you ever, so I know I got to let you go, but it's fun to chat with you. So I've done a couple of TED Talks. I'm curious if that's a route that you've ever considered doing. So it sounds like you've done some speaking, but it seems like that'd be an interesting platform for you to actually, I know, because you talk about the fear of speaking. And I think that's an interesting how you progressed from just being afraid of speaking to where you are now. And I'm curious if that's ever been, you know, something on your radar to do something more like that to get that kind of a platform.
I fear for the world if they give me a TED Talk.
Oh, come on now. Like, that's why you'd be good because you're not going to be arrogant.
If I specialize in something where I'm like, I have to share this knowledge with the world, I'd be like, yeah, sure, let's do that. But I dabble in a lot of things. I'm not like a major expert in many things. Commentary is so different from being on camera as well. Being in the booth for ESPN was so awesome, and I was very scared of it at first. But like after an hour, you forget that, I don't know, it's like 500,000 people are watching, but it's less scary than being in front of 50 people looking at you in real life. I just get over it. And I realized I did stand up once, and like I stand up comedy and it was in front of like 30 or so people, and I knew probably 10 of them, which made it even worse because like, oh, if I bomb, they're just gonna laugh at me, and they're recording it with their phones. I'm like, oh god, that was scarier than ESPN.
Yeah.
just being at a little comedy club. And, you know, I think TED Talks are maybe the like highest stakes, scariest kind of performance that people have to do. I'm like, who I think Liv Bray did one.
She did. Yep.
Who else from poker? Yeah, I just give those people credit. Jen Shahadi has done a TEDx
Yep.
talk.
Yep.
Give you a lot of credit. I think that's like one of the most intimidating environments to ever have to publicly
Yes,
speak.
and I've done
good
a
for
lot
them.
of speaking. I've done probably like 150 speaking gigs.
Mhm.
But I tell you that the 2 times I've had to go out on the big red dot and do it, it is scary. You walk out there and it's like, oh, this is a whole different world, and it shouldn't be. But like you said, 50 people or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's a scary, intimidating thing. But I was thinking from your perspective, you know, from like I'm rambling. I'm a business coach by nature, so I'm naturally going into this. But like, you know, just to give you a platform for even just the work that you're doing with the dogs, to talk about something with dogs and poker and try to
Mhm.
get people giving money to the dog. So anyway, if you ever want to go down that road, let me know. I can hook you up there. But well, Jamie, this has been really great.
If it's ever dog related, I'm in.
Well, there you go. So just
This has been fun.
You know, the TED Talk be dogs playing poker, and you can talk about, you know, the connection between the two, and then you can just tell people to give a bunch of money to help the dogs and the cats if you want.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
That's one thing I should have said, that's my goal in the future is I want to have a pit bull rescue, and I want to do it like on Mount Charleston, just get a few acres up there and have a ranch. And like, the dogs don't even know they have a sweat. If I ever like final table in Maine, that's the first thing I'm going to do.
Mhm.
So if there's any pit bulls listening, you should send me some run good this year.
I like it. Calling all the run good that you can from all walks of life.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie, this has been great. We're gonna have to let you go, but fantastic. Make sure you follow her on Twitter. Make sure Poker King Media on Twitter. We'll put all the information in the show notes. If you have any trouble finding or getting a hold of Jamie, which you shouldn't, but if you do, just reach out, Steve@rec.poker. I'll connect you and make sure that we send you on your way. And if you want to support the dogs, support the animals, and if you don't exactly know how, connect with Jamie. She'll tell you how. Eventually, you can help with
I
this.
will help you.
Yep. Well, Jamie, any final words before we let you go?
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
You know what? I got one. Since you guys started with quotes, I have a Mitch Hedberg quote. A dog is in the permanent push-up position. The dumbest joke, but Mitch Hedberg's my favorite.
It's a dad joke. Like, I love that joke. I can use that one.
Yeah.
In the permanent push-up position. I like it.
Thank you guys.
All right, Jamie, take care.
All
right. Well, why don't we let's hear from Jonathan Little, and then we'll come back and we'll share some of what's going on in the rec poker community.
Have you ever wondered whether you should call a preflop raise or 3-bet instead? What do you do when you have a flush draw? Do you raise it or do you just call? What do you do with ace king when you miss the flop? Are you tired of guessing about what the right play is with your particular hand? Well, my name is Jonathan Little, and I am a 2-time World Poker Tour champion and creator of PokerCoaching.com, where we offer over 1,000 interactive hand quizzes where you play a hand and then get real-time feedback from our world-class pros. Don't guess and don't stress. Just register for your free account at PokerCoaching.com/recpoker right now.
PokerCoaching.com/recpoker. Get it done. Hook it up. All right, guys. Reactions, Mr. Jones.
She's just she's a gem. I think she's great for poker. I was so excited when she joined the, WSOP commentary booth. I thought it was a great conversation. So I'm glad she's part of the poker world. I hope she stays there.
Yeah, I felt a little bad kind of taking it
she's
down a
such a
serious,
bright-
dark road, but because it was so much fun and so much life, but I just kind of wanted to get her perspective on that. Sorry, Jim, go ahead. If you guys haven't noticed, I've got a lag on my end, so I apologize for stepping on toes there.
No, you're doing great. She's just such a positive force in poker and has a great attitude, and she's super fun to follow on Twitter, and just everywhere she goes in poker, sort of fun seems to happen. So it was easy to see why we had to get her on the show.
Yeah, for sure. What do you got, Rob? So Rob chiming in there.
Yeah, no, I've been following her for a long time, and I love her commentaries. Very, very easy to listen to and very entertaining, definitely.
Nice. And John, what was it that you referred to? I kind of missed that. You said you've been following her since some days, and I know you're kind of like our historian.
So there were 4 women who formed a group called the Grindettes. It was her, Jen Shahadi, Katie Stone, and I am forgetting the fourth one, which is always the problem when you do these types of lists. But anyway, they were kind of started up and they were on Twitter and just kind of did some things together. This probably would have been like in the 2007, 2008 timeframe, I'm guessing.
Okay. All right. Nice. Well, yeah, it was super fun. It was fun to meet her for sure. It was very frustrating for me to have a lag and all that jazz, but it was fun to get to chat with her. And I think, yeah, it's the real deal. And I think I can see why Run Good grabbed her and said, we need you on this team, or one of our ambassadors, because it does sync up well with who they are. And so speaking of that, so we did just come back from our Rec Poker road trip number 3. We'd been up to Fargo for a day. We went to Iowa for a week, and now we're down in Florida for a week. Had a really good time, for sure. We had 5 of us that were part of the Rec Poker House. So myself, Jim Gibson, Gibber, he's in the chat tonight. He was down there. Doug Behrens, Rob Atson, Ben Gers. We had a great time playing. The poker went okay, and then it didn't. So the results at the table, but boy, it was interesting. I never played in Florida, and it was very interesting, but we had a great time. So the next Rec Poker road trip is out in Vegas, the World Series of Poker. We got the Rec Poker House out there. If you want more information on that, just go to rec.poker/road trips. Information's there, and then just reach out. But man, we had a good time out there. Obviously wishing the results would have been a little bit better, but we survived the 92-degree heat and 85% humidity. My glasses would just fog up every time I walked outside of the building. It was horrific. So with that, so Jim, because of this lag, I don't know if somebody's waiting to say something. I'm tired of interrupting people, so I apologize for that.
No, let me jump in. I'll just jump in here for a sec, because you've got issues with your video. We've had a couple other technical issues today. This is the Rec Poker way. It's not actually supposed to go very smoothly. And actually, I guess technically the next road trip is going to be a trip to Wisconsin on the 25th. Is that something we can talk about?
Well, we just did, so let's do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we can. Let's talk about that one, because this episode is going to come out on September 14th. That we're going to have this interview with Jamie come out on September 14th. So you've got a week and a half.
Jim, is it being delayed a week?
So we can get Matt, the Matt interview out real quick and easy, and get more people. So there's going to be a little time loop. Our listeners last week are going to have heard a fantastic interview with Matt Savage. Can you believe what he said about those other players? I could not believe that he would go on the air with that, like on the record with that. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to the 25th, which is when we'll be in Wisconsin, or at least you will be. I'm not going to be in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so the plan is, so World Poker Tour, we have a relationship with them, the World Poker Tour, Club WPT. We're going to be doing a one-day tournament on Club WPT on September 25th. So that's the day we're going to do this tournament. The winner of that tournament wins a free entry into a $2,500 WPT Deep Stacks main event out in California in December. So Thunder Valley is where that is. So on the 25th, we're going to be playing online. So if you can get access to Club WPT, some of you might already be a member. You just need a password to get into that tournament. If you're not a member, you can become a member. You can get a free membership to try it out, see what you think, get your free membership. Now, here's the one catch. All right. So you can't play in a couple of different states. One of those states being Minnesota. So I know not all of you are Minnesota, but a lot of us are. You can't play in Minnesota. However, if you have a Minnesota residence, you can still be eligible to win this prize. You can't win all the prizes in Club WPT, but you can play this tournament and you can win this prize. And so we're going to have all the information at rec.poker/WPT on how you can sign up for this thing, all the Q&A, all the details of that sort of thing. But yeah, you can get your free membership, you go play, and maybe you bink the thing. And so we are thinking right now of putting a road trip together. It might just be like a one day, let's find a venue that we can all just go to in Western Wisconsin and go play the tournament. So we're kind of putting that together. So we welcome insights, but I guess by the time this airs, we probably will have it pretty locked down. But if that's of interest to you, just reach out. Check out rec.poker/WPT.
Maybe there's even a Whole Foods parking lot or something that we could all.
Oh my God! Ryan, who was it? Ryan, Ooh,
I can't remember who did that.
Yeah, who
Palma.
was it? He was
Ryan
Somebody
De
picked a
Palma, I
bracelet
think.
for
De
them.
Palma.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
that was
right.
it.
that's so good, Chris. That would be a fantastic video. Just going nuts. Like, I'm the same. So we'll put that together. But yeah, if you're in a state or if you want to get somewhere yourself, do that. This is, what we are trying to do is we're trying to build a relationship with the WPT. They've been very gracious. They're very excited about working with Rec Poker. And this is sort of a test the water scenario. So I think the better we do in terms of getting people to play that tournament and engaging with that, the more opportunities, frankly, are going to come to Rec Poker Nation to win seats and that kind of thing. And so we're going to try to drive as many people there as we can. So engage with that if at all possible. Jim, anything else on that we need to share?
Yeah, and so just tell people they can go to rec.poker/WPT to find out all the information to join, like you say. And it's a free tournament for Rec Poker members, and the winner gets a $2,500 live entry to a World Poker Tour event. So I really think people should go and check that out and have a good time. And if you're in Wisconsin, all the details about how to hang out with Steve on the 25th and win your free entry will be at rec.poker/road trips. So go check that out.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So basically it's a tournament on Club WPT. You need a password. The way you get the password is just, if you're a free member at Rec Poker, you have access to the password. So it's not complicated. But that's sort of how they're doing it, because they really want to help Rec Poker build. They really believe in what we're standing for. They believe in this positive community, learning together. And so they're trying to contribute to that, because they know as we can build this group of recreational players and make create a great community where people feel welcome to grow, that they're going to play more, and they're going to play more WPT events, which is a lot of dream for a lot of us recreational players, is to sit down in that $2,500 buy-in and go toe to toe with some of these great players. So yeah, so watch for more details, but reach out if you have any questions on that at all.
And yeah, Kim has just put a question in the comment section here. So yeah, you can join Club WPT for September. If you do sign up with the code Rec Poker, you can get a free 2-week trial and a bunch of extra tournament points to play in other tournaments as well. So when you hear this, by the time this episode comes out, you should go right now. Go to rec.poker/club WPT and use that 2-week free trial to sign up, and then you can play in the Rec Poker VIP online tournament for free.
Yeah,
That's
2 week,
right.
yeah, you said a 2-week trial. Yeah, Rob.
Is there going to be a bounty on somebody in this tournament?
Oh, right. That the one and only
Somebody might
Matt
have said something.
Savage. Yeah, Matt Savage is going to be playing in the event. And there is a bounty prize on him. And it is you should just take Matt Savage out of the tournament. You'll have some fun if you take Matt Savage out of the tournament.
But yeah, and him and Taylor are going to be working together to figure out what we can do on Twitch for this event, and it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah,
support it as well, so it should be pretty fun for sure. Yeah, so get the free membership, and if you're in a state that's eligible for prizes, for all the different prizes, you're going to get enough free bonus points. They give you tournament points that you can then enter one of their $5,000 guaranteed Sunday tournaments to try to win that as well. So it's a pretty sweet deal. So check all of that out for sure. All right, so switching gears, one more thing that I wanted to cover quick before we get to the home games. Usually I just tease this stuff, so sorry, John, we're making you wait. But we've started now our Rec Poker weekly home game or weekly games at Running Aces. So the Tuesday morning tournament at Running Aces is 10 a.m., $140 buy-in. And so we had the first one, and again, these are one of the rare times our podcasts are out of sequence. But on August 24th, Joshua Robinson took down the inaugural Rec Poker weekly tournament at Running Aces. So congratulations to Joshua. And we got the information on the 10 players. We're putting together leaderboards. We're going to track that throughout the year. I don't know how we're ultimately going to do with it, but we are going to keep track of those points. We'll put them online and kind of declare who the Rec Poker Running Aces Player of the Year is for that tournament. So it'll be super fun to kind of track that and see how that goes. And I'm going to be able to play tomorrow. So we're recording this August 30th, and I'm excited. I'm going to jump in there on the 31st, my 30th wedding anniversary, and I'm going to play poker. It's going to be perfect. Congratulations, me. All right. So, Mr. Somsky, we better turn it over to somebody who's a little more respectful.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I was just wondering if, you were doing this because you didn't want to hit 31. Is that the reason for playing poker on your?
Yeah, maybe. that might be part of it. I didn't get a chance to play it all last week down in Florida, so I'm scratching an itch here.
Before we begin, though, I'm going to start by interrupting myself. And the fourth Grindette is Katie Dozier. I had
Nice.
forgotten that, and I didn't want to leave people hanging in case they were trying to remember that themselves. All right, so back to our home games. We have just on a tear lately. On August 23rd, Keck Geek 65, Jacob
What?
Kiki got his
Mhm.
8th nightly victory for this year.
That's
Then-
just the nightly. And that's like 16 or something ridiculous like that, on
15
his way to
maybe,
20 for the year, which is his goal. Yeah,
right.
crazy.
Well, and this is his 17th lifetime nightly event.
Stud.
Amazing.
Then
Amazing.
we have Hawsey 8.
Ozzy.
Name is private right now and didn't used to be, but just in case that's the way he wants it
Sure.
to be,
Just
He will remain private.
He or she,
Uh,
right, John?
yeah.
We don't.
he or she, or maybe feline or canine. I
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
don't know. Got his second, or her, or it, nightly victory of the year. Flying Bricks, Sarah Hansen got her
Yeah.
6th nightly victory for the year, 12th
Nice.
lifetime.
Wow, that's a lot.
Poker Geek MN,
Woo. Oh, John muted himself.
I muted
I
him.
muted him with my oh, it was you muted him. You muted him.
I'm sorry,
of course
John,
I have to be
we must have
muted.
a technical issue there. Sorry, what?
Yeah, sorry, John. Bunch of audio issues tonight.
I don't know what you guys have against Steve Krebs. Elvis 76
No,
got
no.
his 4th
Go back,
nightly
go back
victory
to
of the
August
year.
26th. Go back to August 26th.
Yeah.
Oh, on that one, Poker Geek MN
Yeah.
got his 2nd victory of
John.
the year,
Yeah.
or 2nd nightly.
There you go.
August 28th, Trey 371, Thomas Pena
Mm.
got, or Pena, I don't know if it got his 4th nightly victory for the year. And then coming back
Jeez.
just a couple of days later,
Oh.
we have Elvis 76 again. Steve Krebs got his 2nd mixed victory for the year.
I'm going to interrupt you there, John. So I got a chance. This is what I love about the road trip. So I actually met Steve up when we went up to Fargo for the day. He ended up sitting right on my direct right, and he had his Elvis 76 hat on. I'm like, no way, you're. So it was fun to meet. So go on these road trips, man. You put names and faces and meet all these people that are playing in the
That's
home
the
games.
best seat in the house.
I know.
And if you're in the home game playing with them, every time you win the hand, he says, thank you very
I know.
much.
Thank you very much. Elvis 76.
Yep.
He's on a heater. Good for you.
Yeah.
Then on to international events.
Oh yes, here we go.
Kabulos. I am so sorry.
Nobody
I am
save
not
him.
trying to do this poorly. It is just, but Allison Neves Wernick
Nice.
got his first international
That's the new
victory
Isnma
of the
for
year.
sure. The new
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isma.
It's the
And
new
they-
Isma.
And they're due. They're due. I've been seeing them getting close to that pin for a while. So
Is he or
congratulations.
she a Brazilian? Is that who I'm thinking?
I think yes. That's the person
Yes.
I'm thinking of too.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Well, best wishes to you. Much luck. Keep up. Keep winning.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, keep
Yeah,
winning.
we
Keep
like-
making
we
John
like this.
struggle. Yeah.
Chris just likes it when I fumble all over my
Yeah.
words, and you
All
know, it
the
doesn't
run good
take
to
much.
Kabulos.
Plus, I like the international winners winning on Saturday. That's like,
Yeah.
that's what it's all about on those Saturday tournaments.
Exactly. Then we have Lucky Axe, Axel Haw, got
Yeah.
his first international victory. Then Aces 54-320, Kathy
Mhm.
Chang won
There
the
you go.
LPP event. So she should contact Jim at rec.poker for her free month at Learn Pro Poker.
Yeah, Kathy has already reached out over DM in the site. That's how excited she is to get started at Learn Pro Poker. Way to go, Kathy. Congratulations. And I think we are going to get a chance to meet down there in Vegas.
Oh, sweet.
The dates are lining up. I can't wait to meet some of these
I
Rec Poker
know.
people when we get down to Vegas, because I didn't get down there for Rec Poker Day
Yeah.
at Running Aces, and with the whole border thing, like there are a lot of people that I'm really looking forward to meeting in person.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you are actually 3-dimensional or not.
Yeah.
Well, and for those of you guys that are listening out there, we do have some room in the Rec Poker House. If you're interested in staying with us, reach out. But even if you're not interested in staying with us, we're going to have some gatherings at the house. So just connect with me. I'll put you on a list of people to reach out to, because, we want to have a few breakfasts at the house. We maybe have a day where, I don't play and I just grill for whoever wants to come over. I don't know. But we want to have some gatherings at the house there. So just to meet people, I think it's going to be so much fun. Or we'll just meet at the final table of the main event or something. But Kathy,
and when Steve says there's room to stay with us in the house, he means like we've got rooms and there's a pool table and a pool, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Come join us.
I know Kathy has a couple of goals here in the Rec Poker home games. One of the goals is she wants to be the female player of the year, and the other goal is she wants to be the mixed games player of the year. So I love that she's got these big goals that she's going after. So I love that. John?
Yeah, for the mixed game player of the year, she has some pretty stiff competition, and I wish some of that was me. But,
it is. You're like top 3, aren't you?
I'm in the top 5, I think, but I don't know. Anyway, one last thing, we do have our second heads up event of the year coming up on September 18th. That is, I believe, the
week you hear this. Yeah.
The week you hear this, it'll be the
that Saturday.
That one we're playing. So,
nice.
Looking forward to that.
Great work as always, Mr. Somsky. Mr. Jones, anything going on the seminar front? He's Somsky.
Get my unmuted. Where I did for just a second. While I was getting the slide pulled up. Anyway, whatever. We just finished up our September seminar. I thought it was a really good one. We had some good hands that came out of it, and it was about that stage of the tournament. Once you get past the money bubble, you're a little bit past that. You're deeper in. You're about 3 or 4 tables left, but you're trying to make a final table. And so that was a great September session. In October, we're going to really focus in on a final table. So we've been doing these sort of progressive, at least until we reach this point on a final table. And then after October, we'll kind of figure out whether we try to do some more like scenario based thing, or we just start the cycle over again. We'll have a little conversation about that, but I'm really excited. I think final tables are fascinating. The ICM factors you could talk about them for days and days. So it'll be really interesting to see how people react to that, and it'll be fun. So you can always sign up to be part of these seminars on the forums. So if you want to be part of one of these sort of simulated final table participants, get your name in there and we'll have a good time.
Hey, Chris, I have a question for you. So I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. And I know, you've been putting these seminars together now for a couple of years. You're investing so much, you're sharing all of your wisdom, and you're also pulling a lot of wisdom from other places and kind of sharing it with everybody. How about for you? What is there anything standing out for you as far as what you've learned or what you've taken away just from the process of doing this and teaching it and pulling it all together? Is there anything that kind of, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but that kind of stands out as like, oh, that's been a really helpful thing for me?
I mean, for sure, there's been lots of things that I've taken away from listening to others, watching others play, just thinking about my own game. The month we did a whole where we looked at database reviews, and we were looking at positions and approaches to 3-betting and approaches to check raising, and I was basically just digging through my own hand database to try to find some examples to show people, and I just by doing that I found three or four things that I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And so that there's just that's been it really, when you have to like sort of like look at these spots and like try to teach it a bit, it's it can help. Yeah, so I've learned a lot about, I think, some 3-betting frequencies. I've learned a lot about bet sizing is something that I'm increasingly more fascinated with, and I think there've been some interesting conversations we've had about when do we bet big, when do we bet small, why do we do those different things at different spots. So yeah, there's been a lot for me.
Sweet. Because I was, I knew you were a genius going into this thing, so I didn't know if you reached a new level of genius or if you're just kind of sharing your wisdom. So, I mean, I'm excited for you that you're getting better. I'm not really excited for me when I play against you, but I've already was.
Yeah, well, I should show you I can show you those database things that I found, and you'd be like, oh, I feel like I'm on the JB Kerstetter circle or site of poker where everyone thinks I'm smarter than I am, I guess. I don't know, whatever she said.
If I look at your charts and just kind of hold them the right way up to the light, it spells donkey or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Mr. Washington, what's going on in the book study world, man? Speaking of dumbed down material, the Michael Acevedo book.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, basic stuff here that we're going through. Yeah, we're by the time you hear this, we'll have already had our session, because we have a session on the 1st, and that session we'll have studied the finished chapter 7, which is MTT equilibrium strategies playing first in. And depending on how quick that goes, we might be able to get into MTT equilibrium strategies defense. So what do you do when somebody raises in front of you? And that's the next section, and that's chapter 8, and that's where we're going to be for sure finishing that chapter it would be on the 15th then for our second one.
Sweet. That's awesome, dude. So twice a month, man. And if you're a premium member, you can participate in those things. You can also go back and watch all the videos.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
What's that?
Yeah, if you have missed them, you can go back and watch previous sessions by going on to Rec Poker in the archives, and you'll see all the book studies. Join the book study group. You'll get involved. We can have some discussion there back and forth if you need to. And all of the slides that we put together are available also on the group. Nice.
Fantastic stuff. Well, anything else, guys, that we need to share? I know we went a little bit long, but that's when I'm involved, it tends to be that way. But what else do we need to share with Rec Poker Nation, Jim?
I guess we've got one more thing we should circle about September 18th. So there's the heads up match that John's running that afternoon, but it's also going to be the first of a few study groups where we're joined by Sky Matsuhashi. So this will be, we're working more closely with Sky and the Poker Forge. So every month now, we're going to release a longer premium training video from the Poker Forge that Sky picks out. And we're going to give our members a couple weeks to digest that material. There's going to be some action steps for people to take. You know how Sky likes to end everything with some steps for you to take. And then he's going to host this hour-long Q&A just for Rec Poker Premium members every month going forward on the 3rd Saturday of the month. So now, he said he'll do it if we get some Rec Poker Premium members to come and ask some great questions on this 3rd Saturday of the month. So I am circling September 18th. If you hear this podcast the week it comes out, book it, baby. 1 p.m. Eastern on September 18th. Join me and Sky Matsuhashi. And if you think I know about Poker Tracker 4 and filters and HUDs and drilling down on people, then you ain't seen nothing yet, kid. Come on September 18th. You'll have a great time with Sky Matsuhashi.
Nice. Great stuff. Continue to add value to that premium membership, right? I mean, we create great stuff through Mr. Jones, and then we pull in great stuff, and you're going to find something that you connect with, somebody that you can learn from. So that is fantastic. Anything else, guys, for the good of the order that we need to share here? I see some heads shaking. Anybody? I guess we still got a couple folks, Jim Gibson, Kim Gilroy in the chat. Anything from you guys that we need to share? I'll give you about 3 seconds to type something. I asked that in plenty of time, right? Hey, got anything to share? Okay, well, let's wrap it up. But no, I think that's it.
Yeah, all right.
We got a lot of stuff going on. As always, go to rec.poker. Go sign up for the newsletter. That's a great way. The twerp this week in Rec Poker. That's a great way to kind of stay plugged in. And we've said this before, but if you want to do us a solid, there's several ways. I think rec.poker/support, I think, is that what has the kind of the different links. I think the different things, but something as simple as subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the Twitch channel, rate and review the podcast. All that stuff is ways that you can support what we're doing that don't cost you a dime. And if you want to spend a dime or more, we have ways that you can support us doing that too, through premium membership and all kinds of other stuff. So just check all of that stuff out. But thanks to Jamie Kerstetter. Jim, you can roll right there. I know we don't have a video cue. Thanks to Jamie Kerstetter. That was great. Chris, John, Jim, Rob. Thanks to Jim and Kim and the others that were in the chat as well. And we will chat with you guys. Oh, Running Aces and Website Amp. Thank you guys too. We'll chat next week.